Polyphony's first venture into the HD era, a true leap in their quest for racing game perfection. What they've created is a racing title for the ages, a title where everything, down to the most minute detail, has been perfected. Often overlooked, it is stuck between the royalty that is GT4 and the utter turmoil that GT6 caused. I feel it is not treated justly. It has every right to be regarded as a game to be remembered. Everything has faults, GT5 included, so join me as I dissect the game and see why GT5 is truly a gem worth playing. Before that, it is probably a good idea to say something about the production process itself. It was anything but unhindered. I never really enjoyed these sub-segments, so I'll keep it short. GT5's production was full of delays and had so much money spent on it. So much so that it became, at the time, the most expensive racing game ever made. 3 delays and 60 million down the drain. And what did we get as the final product? PSP models used in a flagship title. Absolutely unacceptable, and coupled with the mediocre damage model, at least compared to its contemporaries, it does bring down the experience. However, it is excused by that banger of an intro. Well, both, seeing as Spec 2 got a new intro sequence which might just be the greatest intro of all time. Talking about music, I want to discuss the Daiki Kasho's work is the absolute epitome of all bangers to ever exist. Every single song of his is a heavy hitter, an absolute art. Unfortunately, they aren't on Spotify, so you'll have to import them on your own. As for the rest, largely irrelevant compared to the greatest of all time, but the entire soundtrack is amazing, just perfection. You're greeted by a beautifully crafted intro which showcases the production of the automobile, swiftly followed by Planetary Go by My Chemical Romance, layered perfectly over breathtaking cinematics. What a ride! The intro perfectly sets the tone for the entire game, a playful and rebellious entry to the franchise, albeit one that still follows its roots. It is genuinely masterfully crafted, however the Spec 2 intro is vastly superior. The music composed by Daiki Kasho never misses its mark, and Soul on Display is no exception. The game utilizes the beloved Gran Turismo progression system. You start with a bit of cash and pick a car to buy. Use that to win races and get more money. Use that to acquire new cars, and the loop continues. The graphics are still impeccable. It is easily the best looking 7th gen title, second to none. You could argue that GT6 is prettier, however that game had to compromise on its performance heavily. GT5 runs at a stable frame rate all the time. You do, however, have the newly added leveling system, which lets you participate in higher tier events and purchase higher tier vehicles. It was okay, I don't enjoy it, but I don't mind it either, to some extent. The game has the usual UI condensed into something new and quote-unquote improved. The GT4 layout was vastly superior. Gran Turismo 5 features a new addition to the series, interiors in the form of so-called premium cars. Their car models not upscaled and transferred over from GT PSP and GT4, and instead built from the ground up. Premium models are still breathtaking, and the attention to detail is simply phenomenal even to this day. In terms of attention to detail, Polyphony are simply unmatched. Unfortunately, 240 or so cars are premium models, the rest, standard. This means that from 1,090 cars, the car list consists mostly of PS2 models. A real shame, however, the troubled sequel built up on that foundation, featuring 474 premium models. This is an immensely troubling title. There just aren't many career mode events, both in Spec A and Spec B. Spec A is the mode where you sit directly behind the steering wheel, whilst Spec B lets you sit back on and take the whilst Spec B lets you sit back and take on the role of team principal, telling your drivers exactly what to do and how to drive. Everything is locked behind a leveling system, which quite frankly sucks. There is no incentive to do licenses because they just aren't important whatsoever. They aren't even required to compete in races. Blasphemy, I say. The AI are a terrifically slow joke. They cannot keep up with the player, brake too early, take lines too slow, and unless you purposely hinder yourself or challenge, you will be doing a time trial for all but one lap. Note that I didn't try out endurance races, as the emulator frequently desyncs and crashes, which made that mode incredibly frustrating to play. The online mode for this game is truly dead. I've never played it, so I cannot describe it in detail. However, it seems to have been absolutely phenomenal and filled in for the tiny amount of offline content the game had. GT5 was truly an online Gran Turismo in all aspects. Unfortunately, when Polyphony took away its life support, the game itself flatlined with it. It features some peculiar features such as online B-spec mode, which sounds incredible, and shuffle races, which to my understanding are races in which everyone gets a random car within a select PP range. It is truly a shame that we cannot experience these anymore. With so much negativity, why do I regard this game as highly as I do? The passion and effort put into it, as well as the driving physics. The uttermost important factor of a racing game, GT5 nails it to perfection. The mix of road and machine is absolutely stunning. Everything feels so right. No racing game ever came close to this other than its successor, Gran Turismo 7. There is something so special about driving in this game. A time capsule-esque effect. It oozes the 2010 charm. From the soundtrack to the menus, it is just lovely to experience. Don't get me wrong, it is not perfect. However, it is as close to mastery as a game of that era ever got to. Pure bliss to experience. I urge you to try out yourself. Cars just feel natural and grippy, but not too cartoonish. Games oftentimes make the mistake of going the other way and making a power slide focused simcade experience. However, GT just surpasses that in a multitude of levels. When it comes to driving physics, it far and away surpasses GT Flower, which is a tall order. GT4. This is far from an ideal game, with the AI, event count, leveling system, etc. However, it is just so fun to play that I cannot think of it negatively. The game is a gem of the 7th generation, further cemented by the fact that it was the best-selling PS3 game bar one, and that was GTA 5. The missing online features do drastically bring down the experience. However, the game still provides a solid 20 to 30 hours of fun without it. If you want to relive your childhood or see what you missed out on, I absolutely suggest picking this game up. Whether that is on original hardware or RPCS3, it is up to you. I do suggest playing it on a PS3 instead of emulating it. I don't really feel like art can be described using one generic metric of how good it is. Thus, I will not be leaving a basic numerical score here. It just isn't right. Hi, I just want to thank you for sticking to the end. It would mean the world to me if you were to like and subscribe to my channel. I enjoyed making this, so the reception is positive enough I might think about doing some more. Post your ideas in the comments and I'd ideally put the most mentioned ones in a poll. I've spent weeks on this and I hope you love it. Remember, do not forget this gem.